What up, what up, what up? Welcome to Content is Profit FONZI. Welcome back.
I'm back. What's
You're
up?
my star guest. You're earning the
co-host.
No, you're earning the co-host spot. Back.
I've never lost it.
You went on vacation for 7 months. Vacation. Dude, I'm excited. I have a topic here, but you started telling me a little story about some people that have been going through the challenge and the way that they use their publishing platform. Is the publishing platform a podcast? Can we clarify?
A publishing platform is not necessarily a podcast. The vehicle can be whichever means you want it to be. But, you gotta add context if we're gonna go this way on why we're talking about this.
Yes.
But you did mention the challenge. And if you're listening to this, I'm guessing you're clicking Content is Profit because you've been challenged with, either growing your social media, growing your following, growing your business through your content. You're trying to find ways, you're trying to find strategies, how to do it. Well, we can help you just with that on a one-on-one challenge that we're doing for free. You can go to bizbros.co/monetize, sign up. I'll reach out to you. We'll book 5 days in a row and we'll work one-on-one to solidify that strategy so you can move forward. Let's go.
Let's go, baby. Okay. So I do have a topic about removing friction on the creation side. And obviously that could be, we can touch on that a little later. But when you started to share the story, then we talked a little bit about it yesterday. And then you mentioned it today. I was like, no, don't tell me here. We can kind of go over the show a bit. Is when we share this concept of using your publishing platform. I was about to say call it podcast, but let's not do that right now. To collaborate with potential opportunities, right? So we've been working on this definition of pipeline platforms, what it is, and this is a vehicle for you as a business owner to connect with your ideal relationship and then move opportunities forward while building a brand and a presence online. Which is, I think in the world of content, or especially in business, right? It's like, the thought process is I'm going to build my content and I'm going to build my reputation first, and then I can go sell. But there's a situation where, that's ideally, right? Like, we have all the time, all the resources in the world, but most businesses don't have all the time and all the resources in the world. So there is a way that you can do both at the same time at a very solid level and continue and create some cash flow. Am I correct on that one? Is that my the right assumption?
Yeah, you're pretty spot on. I mean, I really like how you put it, build the content, build the reputation and sell. But I think you can certainly do all those at once if you're strategic about it, right? And honestly, the way to do it is how I envision it. And this might help people visualize it as well. If you don't know who Seth Godin is, go check him out. But he is a pretty much legendary marketing. He's the one that wrote Purple Cow. If you're watching the video, I did like this with my hand, kind of like over my head because he's bald and has a shiny head, but he is very, very smart. And he has a book called Tribe, right? And what he talks about on Tribe is you can imagine a triangle where you has you, the host of the tribe, then you have your audience, and then on the other corner you have more of your audience, and pretty much everybody can talk to each other. It's not just a one-way communication, you to your audience, and it's not the audience just to you, but it's actually the audience can communicate between them. And that graphic helps me visualize what we're talking about, which we call it pipeline platforms, right? And how I see it is us, or you in this case, right, the host at the top, then you have your guest at the bottom left, and then you have your audience at the bottom right. And the whole goal is to create not just an audience, which is how most people see content creation, or when people co-create, right, creating content with somebody else, they see it as let's just build it for the audience. Well, this system, if you envision this triangle, the whole idea is to create a win-win situation for everybody, right? Your guest is sharing, or your co-creator is sharing the expertise, so the audience can benefit, right? And they get more information. Your guest benefits because the audience attention is on them as well. You benefit because you have a very high level conversation with your guest, right? That is potentially, if you have the right angle, sharing some of the challenges, some of the successes that they've had, and you build that rapport with them immediately. But also, as the host, at the head of whatever co-creation platform it is that you are creating a lot of value with the audience as well. So you can see it's a win-win-win situation for everybody. So I'm going to define it for you. We call this the pipeline platform. And I'm going to just share the definition so you can have a little more clarity on exactly what it is. But it is a system where you invite your ideal avatar, right? This is going to be your guest, to co-create content for your audience. Then you use that collaboration to deliver value, build trust and status, and then naturally transition that relationship into some sort of opportunity, right? That opportunity could be, collaboration in their platform, or it could actually become a sale, right? They could become your clients. Who knows? There's many opportunities, but this
referral source, introduction,
referral source. Correct. This just opened the door to have more conversations with what we say creation. Conversations create opportunities, right? And then people in here, I was like, well, so what is it? Is it just a podcast? I was like, no, it's not just a podcast. A podcast is one of the vehicles that we could do this. But when we talk about collaborative based platforms, all we mean is a vehicle where you co-create content with your ideal avatar. So there's many different ways, right? Yes, it could be a podcast, just like we've done it with Content is Profit. It could be just a strictly Facebook Live that is never going to be published as a podcast, right? It could be a phone interview that then you turn into a written blog post, or you turn into value for your newsletter. It could be an exchange on DMs that then gets turned into something else. Again, it really doesn't matter what the vehicle for delivery is, as long as first you're co-creating with your ideal avatar, and then second, you are sharing that expertise and that value with an audience. And that's when everybody wins. You win, the guest wins, and your audience wins.
Yeah. Thing is, for some reason, I don't know why it's such... I mean, maybe we need to do a better job at explaining it first on how it is. And it's coming up on these challenges because I think it's probably one of the fastest ways to monetize or like create opportunities, right?
I will say this is, if you're like a e-commerce person, right, that has a very low ticket product, like this might not be for you.
I would
challenge
that one, and I would challenge that idea because I had this. Yeah, go ahead.
Challenge it in just a second.
Pause the challenge.
I was just gonna say, like, ideally, and this is more proof of concept, right? Like who we've helped them build and built it ourselves for us, and has helped us out, is for coaches, consultants, service providers, people that have more of a high ticket or very high lifetime value of their customers. That would be I would say, and you're going to challenge this, but I say that is more of the ideal person that will benefit from this pipeline platform. All right, go ahead with your challenge. Your silly challenge.
No, very applicable challenge. I will do a shout out first to this book here, Ultimate Sales Machine, from Chet Holmes and Amanda Holmes. We miss them. We worked with them for a while. Well, with Amanda, because Chet passed a while back, but they continue. They talk about a big concept called the Dream 100, right? And how they have it here on the book. If you have the book, it's page 116. The high art of getting the best buyers, the fastest, least expensive way to dramatically increase sales. And then obviously they go step by step here. And I remember doing a workshop with Amanda. We were doing it for her community, and on my case, we came across this concept when we launched the show, and like one of our initial guests were like, what do you guys do? And we're like, oh, we explain what we do. And we're like, we don't know if this is for you, but X, and that originated the next opportunity. We're like, wow, this is awesome. So there is a vehicle where we can, provide value. And then, when they were going through this workshop, Amanda shared how she got incredible companies to purchase big orders for the book, like 200 books, 300 books, 500 books for either their employees or different things. So if you do have a low ticket type of offer, like think about who could buy large amounts of that thing, for example. And that's how you will use the pipeline platform method. Right. So we had somebody come in and they had a kid's book, and they had the same question on one of our Q&As. And this happened probably last year. This was not when we were doing it in Business Creator Club. So if you're looking for a community or a place to kind of hang out and learn and have resources, businesscreator.club, come hang out. And she had that problem. She's like, well, I sell a $7 book. So like, how many interviews do I have to do? Right. Like, and we're like, well, let's think about this. Like, who's a dream relationship that could become a big opportunity for you? Right. Like, where is your book good for schools? Is your book good for libraries? Is your book good for some type of program? And she started brainstorming, and she started dropping these names and positions that maybe one order could sell 300 books, for example, right? Those are the relationships that you should develop through pipeline platform if you have something like that, right? It's not the one-on-one sales, it's like the one-to-many sales. I remember early when we were doing 45 Live, I don't know if you remember Tony Caggiano, right? Like he was selling this like accessibility software for funnels, and he was trying to get on conversations one-on-one with funnel builders, right? In the ClickFunnels world. And then he changed the angle, and he started connecting with agencies that built hundreds of funnels or hundreds of websites. And his relationship was the agency owner, right? And then he had a product that provided a win-win-win for everybody. And that's how he was able to grow a little faster than before connecting on a one-on-one. So that's why I challenge that. It's like, again, it highly depends on the product, but we could always like spin it to where like, who could be a purchase order that is massive, right? Who could buy that thing multiple times? And I think that's the beauty of it. Is like it focuses really in the relationship to then creatively be like, hey, here's how we can do it. And you don't need a sales page. You don't need anything. You just need to invite them into your publishing platform, whatever that is. FONZI share a bunch of examples. We actually ran it with Instagram Live once. Remember that Content Bites? It was like a smaller version of Content is Profit. And it was like a 10 to 20 minute conversation on Instagram Live. And it was the same framework, right? It's like invite somebody, collaborate together on the creation of the content. While you do that, your relationship goes. And then after that, there's a little framework of 3 questions that we ask at the end that can help you do that to move the opportunity forward, right? You don't pitch right there, right? And I understand like how like there might be some negative reaction towards this, because there is a ton of stuff out there that is like, pitch your guests and don't even launch a podcast. I'm not saying that. Like, I'm saying like publish good content, good conversations, because that's also going to help your brand, right?
Yeah. Some of the examples of what not to do would be, because obviously one of the main things that you're going to see at this is like, well, I won't have as many conversation if you do one episode a week, or one recording a week, one event a week. Is going to be 52 in a year that you're making. You're like, well, I wanted to talk to more than 52 leads, right? Yeah. So one of the things not to do is say to record every single day, or I'm going to record 5 interviews per day and only publish 1 per week. And then the wait list to publish is like a year, right? And we've been on the other side of that.
Yeah, we're on the other side of that. Yeah.
Like I remember at the moment we had somebody do an interview for us, and then literally like a year later, it got published. And we're like, wait, what?
Yeah, and they were like, "Well, you can pay, or you can pay $400 to skip the line." And we're like, "What?"
Right? So, in a way, that's like, yeah, you got to be a little bit more intentional to who you're targeting and how you're developing that relationship.
Yeah.
But ideally, those are, if you do it once a week, very high level people that you can, interact with. Now, we used to do it 3 times a week, so that'll be a 156 of those conversations a year or around that we would have. Again, very decent number, 156 people that we knew we could help, we could potentially connect with them, and a percentage of those, they would become or clients, or we would do some sort of other partnership, right? Some sort of other opportunity. We would participate in a summit that they were doing. We would go and do training on their communities, right? Like that just opens a lot of doors because now you're leveraging their audience. As very important is, I think, have that side of integrity when you're doing this.
Yeah. In one of the talks that we did at Podfest a few years back, I think we were like a little past 100 episodes. We did the math on this because we had an audience at the event ask us that. And I think at the time that we did it with the first 100 episodes, 80% of them said yes to move the conversation forward. And then we ended up working with 25% of those that said yes. Right. So like, and for us, I think like that was the inflection point between, doing this part-time and then exploring more of a full-time business, where we really saw initial traction in our service offering, right? So like if you have a service, you can do this. If you have a consultancy, you can do this. Like if you sell any type of like high ticket recurrent service, I think that's probably best case scenario. But it's also a strategy, not only focusing on the sales side, but it's like you could tackle both. You could create like very good quality content and conversations, and then that becomes your platform, whether that's a blog, an Instagram, a podcast. Obviously, we're fans of podcasting, and we have multiple like this person that you're talking to is like, but I don't want to launch a podcast. It's like, it doesn't need to be a podcast.
Yeah. Another thing not to do: do not turn the event into the sales conversation.
Correct. That's a big no.
There's a lot of people too that they will do that. You will jump on, let's say, an interview, and all of a sudden you just feel like you're in a discovery call, and they're just trying to dig it out of you and pitch you right there on the show, right? Or you feel they're speeding up through the conversation because they just want to get you to the pitch at the end.
Yeah.
No, do not do that. That is the fastest way to lose trust on the person that you're helping. Yeah. Again, you are, and this is the other side of the coin, I guess, right? We talked about pipeline platform, what it is, the definition, but it is very important to define what your angle is going to be, right? And this is what it is. How do we tackle the conversation to build value, trust, and status? Your angle must highlight the guest and allow you to make connections to your expertise to show competency, right? So like, that's all it is. But you are highlighting your guests. You're letting them shine. You're sharing the platform for them. And at the same time, you are giving your opinion. You're just not interviewing. You're not putting yourself under them. You're having a conversation with them, showing your expertise, not pitching them, showing your competency on what you do, so you can build also rapport and trust with your guests. And then after the conversation is when you present an opportunity to move in a different direction. Again, you're not going to make the pitch. Rather, you're not going to be like, yo, I got this for you. No, you are going to open the doors to try to figure out what opportunities you guys can do together. So very important.
I love to think about this as a networking event on steroids, right? It's just like, you go play golf, you have a conversation that's valuable for you on that person. And then after that, there's opportunities that come, right? Like we're just leveraging the media that there is today, so that conversation can be viewed and consumed by other people that can also benefit from that, right? Like, I mean, just now we're just in our Podmatch Elite Mastermind group, and in the initial of the call, I mentioned that I've been experimenting with live streaming and gaming in the last couple of days, right? Like they've like, what's something that you're working on? I'm like, well, this is my new passion project, like a passion project I call it, but no, whatever, like experimenting, right? And privately on the side, this awesome guy Nick, who has been on the show too, he's great with ads, right? He's like, dude, we should play it together, right? Because I played that game, and I'm like, awesome, let's go do it. Because FONZI bails on me all the time. So
I'm too good, so I need to let you catch up and improve a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. That is true, by the way. But that is an example of pipe and platform. It is not a show. It is not a thing. Let's say Nick jumps on and we play together for an hour. We build value to each other. The content itself might not be valuable for the business crew, but it might be valuable for the people that are watching content gaming, right? For example. But guess what? After we game, and the stream is off, I go, hey, dude, Nick, this was amazing, man. We just spent an hour together playing this video game. We sucked. We were amazing. Whatever the outcome was. Hey, what about, can we meet tomorrow and chat a little bit more about those ads that you have? How can we offer it to our group? Or are you interested in XYZ? Right? Like, it just opens the door for a conversation. And Nick will say, dude, absolutely. We just spent a couple of hours together and do this. Well, that is that version in a very extreme way of creation of content that has nothing to do with business, but it will open the business door, right? Like, again, if I play with Nick and the opportunity comes, that's not the objective. This is just an example. But if you are listening to this, you are probably creating some kind of content. What is that type of content? Bring your person, collaborate on that platform, right? It's like, what are some crazy ways that we can put our minds together and talk about the topic that I talk on social media together? So if you do only Instagram posts or Instagram like quote cards, call them on the phone. Hey, man, I have a post that is going to go out in the next couple of days. I would love some quotes from you. Here are some questions. And you ask the questions. That person is going to respond back. That information, whether you or your team is going to turn them into quote cards or whatever post that you want to do on Instagram, they're going to go out there, you tag them. And after the conversation, you're like, oh, dude, Luis, those answers were amazing. The team is working on those. They're going to be published so and so. Hey, by the way, I don't know if this is for you, but I sell books to these people, leadership books, and I would love to, see if we can collaborate. Would you be open to have a conversation about that? That is the question. That's it. And then you set up a call for after, not that day.
So what are the action points? Somebody listening to this that they're like, this sounds interesting. This sounds maybe more, around my road, the things that I want to be doing, right? Rather than maybe hustling solo on creating content. This sounds more enjoyable to do, right? Yeah. What are the action points?
Well, number one, I'll highly recommend go do the challenge with FONZI, BIZBROS.co/monetize, because that could be part of the challenge. That could be like, let's build the initial phase of this together. And then you go off to do wonderful things, which is, we actually have a couple of people trying this out right now there. So that's completely free. BIZBROS.co/monetize. Second, let's say I don't want to hang out with FONZI. Like, I don't want to see him. I don't want to do anybody. Like, I'm ready to do this. And you're already publishing some kind of content. Like, identify what is the content that you're publishing. For the sake of the example, let's do a blog. Because every time we do a podcast, like, I don't have to launch a podcast. But let's say you have a website and you write a blog. Perfect. What is the topic that you want to talk about? Who's the guest writer that you want to interview for this blog post? And just give him a phone call. Hey, Luis, can I interview you real quick?
I would encourage to do a Zoom call rather than a phone call, just so you 100%. Can see each other's faces. It just builds so much more rapport.
Absolutely, 100%. Thank you, Fonzie, for that little asterisk there. Yeah, obviously. I mean, the phone call is to invite them to the Zoom call, right? So like, how we normally do is like, we send a quick DM, be like, hey, Fonzie, you want to be on the podcast on so-and-so? We'd love to feature you, your story. We're like excited to kind of share that with you. And then they'll be like, yeah, absolutely. Next steps. And whatever next steps look like for you. For us, it looks like sometimes an 11-minute call, or sometimes we just send the calendar invite and they book in there. And then we have the event, which for us is the interview. For you, we'll be having the conversation over Zoom so you can write the blog. And after you have that conversation, after whatever long it is, you hang up, you stop the recording, and you're like, dude, Luis or Fonzie, this was amazing. Thank you so much for that information. This blog is going to be published on this date. The team is already working on it. I'm excited to kind of put it. We'll share all the links with you. By the way, I do XY. I don't know if this is for you, but I do XYZ. I would love to collaborate with you and see if there's a way that we can work together. Would you like to chat about this, like maybe tomorrow afternoon, and just give them a date, right? They'll be like, oh yeah. Most people will say yes to that call. And then on that call, then you can explain kind of what you do, show a demo, be like, hey, this is the service that we offer. This is the product that we sell, and and then you go into your sales process. We don't control your sales process, but that's where you will have that conversation. That's the roadmap, literally. So you just clip that part, repeat, put it on repeat, or you can join the challenge with CO4/monetize. We'll kind of help you kind of map it out and work a little bit more on the details. Where do you think the friction is for a lot of people, Fonzie?
I mean, it's always the doing. I think at some point it gets to they're learning, the strategy resonates, they get excited, they learn a little bit more. It gets overwhelming. So much things to do. How do I use the tech? How do I craft the message? Right? How do I publish it? And then they don't end up doing anything. When I think in reality is learn what the thing is, get excited, learn step one, do step one, learn step two, do step two, right? Like how do you break it down into little pieces that you can make it actionable rather than going full on, learn everything and then you're just overwhelmed. Like, there's so much to do, right? And I think that's the typical course behavior. Like you buy a course and ideally you want to go taking action step by step doing things, but most people will go and consume everything.
Yeah.
And halfway through it, they're overwhelmed already and they don't finish the courses, right? And there's like a stat, I think it was like 70% of people that buy online courses, they don't finish them. And I think it's the same exact thing.
100%. I think is they're trying to make, like, because everybody listening to this, if you have a business, you probably already have these steps, which is, one, DM, phone call, you probably DM already outgoing messaging to somebody already, right? You might be already publishing. Most people, I think, they think it has to be a podcast. It doesn't have to be a podcast, but if it's a podcast, great. It looks a little bit more legit, I think. Like it is a publishing platform that you can leverage in multiple ways, but use the content that you're already creating. I'll give you an example that is outside of our industry too, to kind of illustrate it. And then obviously you already have sales calls. So that's the second part, right? So here's an example. Logan Paul with Prime. This is a pipeline platform example that it didn't come from. It's like Logan Paul. I don't know if you're familiar with the battle between Logan Paul and KSI, right? Like these big influencers. KSI is from England. Logan Paul is from the United States. They hate each other online and they decided to go do a boxing fight. For them, the boxing event is that event where they both collaborate. Even though they hate each other, they go and they do this content together. The shape of this content is a fighting stream that they sold for millions. Then they're like, wow, this was awesome. They go do a second one, right? And after the second one, Logan invites KSI to collaborate a third time in their podcast. And in their podcast, they find out that they're besties. They're like, we're the same person. Why do we hate each other? And there's an opportunity lingering to launch something which later becomes Prime. And Logan says, dude, you have an audience. I have an audience. Why don't we collaborate on this together? And Logan pitched the idea of Prime, who now competes with Gatorade and the top beverages in the world, to KSI. And he said, yeah, let's do that. That's an example of pipeline platform outside of the podcasting world. Of course, these are like top influencers, but the concept is there. They collaborated together in an event, even if they didn't like each other. And then from there, they found out their relationship and trust value went up. And then one of them pitched an idea to the other one to collaborate, which became Prime. And the rest is history. So cool, dude. So cool. Like this is accessible for everybody. Yeah, anybody can do it from your phone. Let's do an Instagram live right now.
Yeah, it's very easy. The technology has made it very, very simple to do. It's just a matter of wanting to do it, figure out who your audience of one is, aka your guest. What is that first person that's going to hear you, that you're going to build rapport, your ideal avatar, and then figure out your angle. And then just go ahead and start recording or start having those conversations.
Yep. So good. Well, definitely not talking about the content stuff that I brought on to this episode, but I think this is needed, man. I think like we don't talk much about this. is really what helped us first cross our first 6 figures in our business. It was like the only thing that we did. We went away from it for a long time. We're about to go back in really, really hard on this concept. But even though like that, like we are about to start working with an incredible person this month, and he came. Here's another. It came from a connection that was made for the podcast. For different reasons, we didn't end up recording, but the experience of trying to book the show was so memorable that we still explain what we did even before the interview. And that person came back years later, and then we ended up closing the deal with them to work for the next few months with them. So it is It is that powerful. People will remember you.
It is. If you give them a good experience, people might not remember exactly what you said, but they will remember how you made them feel.
Bam! Golden Boulder! The comeback of the Golden Boulder, baby.
Golden Boulder moment. For those that don't know what a Golden Boulder is, it's just like a golden nugget, just bigger. Way bigger, way more powerful.
Oh, it's so good. So good. Well, I think that's the episode. I guess what we're going to be talking about, what we were supposed to be talking about today that I brought in, we can talk about it in the next episode. Sounds good.
Sounds like a plan.
Sounds
if you're
like
watching, make sure you say hi. Don't forget to say hi.
That's right. And if you want that challenge, whether you need to seek clarity or you're like, Luis, I already have clarity and I want to do pipeline platform, go to BIZBROS.co/monetize, fill out that form, go connect with FONZI. We have a few spots available for the next couple of weeks. And if you want accountability and you want on Thursdays office hours, go to businesscreator.club. Come hang out with us in there as well. There's different vehicles. You'll have a call with me and I'll probably tell you go do the challenge with FONZI. So either or. Pick your poison, baby. Let's go. FONZI, anything else?
Right. No, that's it. Make sure to join me at BIZBROS.co/monetize. If you're frustrated in the hamster wheel of not knowing what to create, not knowing what to say, how do I do this? You might be overwhelmed with all the different sort of strategies. That's what we're going to find out, what works best for you. Because at the end of the day, every business is unique. They might be selling you, a dream on this is the one strategy that's going to work for you. But every business has its own circumstances, its own resources, its own constraints, and we go over this in the strategy, in the challenge, the Content Clarity Challenge, just to make sure we craft something that is unique for you, that you can execute, you feel excited to have under your belt, and you can get some money.
Let's go. All right, guys, we'll see you in the next episode. Take care.